All right, there's a lot of twos and zeros and ones here, so it's 2:01 a.m. on 10/21/2021. So Bushcraft Bear in his last video left a comment pinned in the comments that says attention with three exclamation marks. IGN warns of possible intensity 6 earthquakes. The maximum has been 5 so far. He continues to not really say very much at all about events going on, just in a roundabout way, a very distant kind of way, not even going into any details, not even sort of even really much insinuating anything major could be going on or wrong, while at the same time making comments, like this, leaving those kind of comments. First time, this hasn't happened before. If he's leaving messages like this, then it really shows what's the story here and the point that this is at right now. Then at the end, the last few seconds when he was signing off, he said in a very solemn, like, I don't know, mysterious or cryptic way, trying not to read into things too much, but as he usually said, but he said very calmly, and take care, my dear viewers, goodbye. Just the way he said goodbye was kind of strange. Again, trying not to read into things too much, but whether it's true or not, it seemed there was a type of resignation and hopelessness in his tone with those last words. I mean, I'm sure he'll be back doing more videos, but just the way, never heard him say it like that. Again, it was like goodbye, like a final kind of goodbye type of thing. I could say things about this, about sincerity, and it's been wondered, is this person for real, or is he being put up to do a job to control the information? Is he sincere because he seems so sincere and even innocent? What's the story with this person? I'm not going to go into that. I was thinking about it pretty seriously the past several days. Certain information and things that I came across in videos. My conclusion is that whatever the truth is about him, I'm not going to go into this now. I don't think right now, at least, it serves any purpose if I ever do that, because there is a great controversy. There seems to be different sides. Those who totally defend him at all cost kind of thing, and just so admire that, like a person can do no wrong type of thing. And then others who think that, what's being said, the information being given by him is only partially the truth, as far as, what he's saying, he sees, obviously, is the truth. But then beyond that, it just becomes hearsay, and spreading fear and not substantiated. Well, again, he said, attention, 3 exclamation marks, IGN warns of possible intensity 6 earthquakes. That seems pretty serious to me. He didn't even mention that in the video. He just put it in the comments and pinned it there. Now that's a step up. I'm not sure what IGN stands for. I tried to look it up. Probably some government agency or something, or geological something, I don't know, or news, or some agency that obviously must be in an official way or capacity for him to issue that. And now we're getting into the 6th area, category, level, magnitude of quakes that appear to be coming now. And again, It's not just a gentle warning, it's a alert, a full-blown alert kind of message he's giving here. Now, a 6 magnitude is like 10 times worse than a 5. We've obviously been in the 5s because others have seen it posted that they were in the 5s and then taken down. There was an earthquake about 4 hours ago that I saw that was 4.3. I went back to see it a little while later, and it was taken down to 4.1. No doubt there's been 5s going on here, and 6s would be pretty darn bad, much more worse, even catastrophic. I have no idea the effects that would cause on the volcano, the magma, the earth movement, but obviously just common sense tells you it can't be good, and that this volcano in the area has been hit over and over by over 30,000 earthquakes, I believe, in the past month alone, which includes tremors, which are much lower in magnitude, but still, that boggles the mind. A month and I don't know if it was a month or a month and a half. I think that this is accurate, what I'm saying. Then from what I'm hearing, what I've been learning and seeing and observing, that 7s could be very much in the works at some time here, at some point, and that would be really, something unbearable that would probably bring this situation to a close for good here. And the reports are that the scientists themselves are very worried about what's going on with this volcano, and even land breaking off not only the delta but parts of the island itself. This has really always been a concern, though you won't really hear it, because some voice their concerns and opinions and their evaluation, but that's not really the mainstream, while the others, sort of just keep that, downplay it, and don't say that that's even really possible. So this is the situation here. As I look down, now it's 2/11, 10/21, 2021. Lots of jumbled numbers to pronounce, or a jumble of them, a mouthful. And apparently Bushcraft Bears, that's hard to say too, camera broke or something happened. Maybe ash, or I should say lava particles perhaps got in the camera and it's not working. So a lot of strange things going on here. Again, that happened to him, and now this warning that he gave, 6.0 intensity possible. So from what I hear, what I've been hearing reputably, wow, I can't speak tonight, is that this volcanic situation is not going to decrease or stop, but it is getting and will continue to get even worse. And it looks very much like there's going to come a point here. I don't know, no one can really know, within weeks, within a month, or longer, I don't know, that point could very much likely be reached. Again, we're talking in the 7s kind of magnitude. So if they're warning of 6s right now, I mean, that's the next step if this goes beyond that. I think if there is a 6 or higher, that's the final signal, the final warning. I mean, there's been warning after warning, not only of the magnitude increase over time, but warnings by others, about this whole situation, and others who are just totally downplaying it, and totally different attitudes and thoughts about this, and for what reason they might be doing this. I think in my conscience right now, the only thing I'm really going to say about this, and I think it needs to be said, is that there are many, many Christians following Bushcraft Bear and assuming that he's a Christian. Um, and I'm saying this nicely and politely. I mean, just because he reads scripture, but that's about the size of it, or thanks others for their prayers. I'm not getting down on this. I'm just telling you the facts and the truth and what I feel. And because he seems to have such a charming personality, and that's a good word for it. But in actuality and absolute truth, he never came out and said that he was a Christian. It was assumed that because he took Saturdays off and announced that it's a special day for him, he really didn't say anything more than what I heard him say about meditating, you know, and being at peace, or some other terms. But he did mention he would be meditating and, I don't know, be in touch with whatever, with things, you know, be at peace, that kind of thing. One of the last videos that I heard, at the end of it, I don't know, several days ago, he played meditative music. And as I listened, and as everyone else listened, that type of music is meant to put you in a very, how should I say this, very calm, meditative, and almost trance-like, you know, state. Like frequency music, if you're familiar with that, even certain frequencies and healing from certain sounds. Part of that is scientific. A great deal of it is occultic, so it's something to be aware of. And I mentioned this, might as well mention soaking music. Christians talk about listening to such videos and, you know, opening themselves up and having this sort of peaceful, levitating feeling and so forth, or being healed. Have to be very careful about stuff like that. Spiritually, that can be and is very demonic and occultic and mystical experience. So anyway, I was listening to that, and it seems to me to be a very trance-like state. That's a good way to describe it. Just sitting there listening. And also, he had in the background, right at the end, as he was going off with this music going, the volcano was showing in the background. What does that do? I'm not sure of the exact clinical, or whatever you want to call it, psychological terminology, but what it does, and what I think it does also, is it creates an association. What do I mean? I don't want to get into this too long, but I'm going to just finish this here. Well, others are listening to this meditative, trance-like music. They're looking at a volcano. So their association with looking at the volcano is the opposite of danger. It's the opposite of, you know, alarm and warning, and facing facts about what may be danger, you know, pertaining to this volcano. And so it sort of bypasses the senses, bypasses reason, like a programming someone, I guess, mind control type thing. And that's easily done just through word manipulation, by continuously reinforcing while showing, you know, pictures or talking about the volcano in terms of really nothing being wrong, because they're just telling you what's actually going on, and everything seems okay, and everything they tell you, even nice and good and everything normal, and that keeps getting reinforced. And so that becomes the truth to those who just don't want to hear otherwise and just want to accept things because it becomes convenient, and they enter a state of denial, or just want to stay there and don't want to accept maybe truth or harm or fear or whatever. So I'm speaking in general terms also. So when truth is presented as a half-truth, then really it's actually a lie, even because truth is used in the process while everything else is left out of the picture intentionally, and that becomes the reality. And I'm just going to end that here. And also I'll say that information or things I've found or just my observations, others have noted occultic things going on that might apply here. Whether that's true or not, I'm not going to go into that. But and as I said, I decided not to touch this topic except for what I have mentioned here right now. But I do think that there's hordes of people and hordes of believers, and also those who claim to be believers, who are mesmerized by every word that this man speaks. And again, I'm not trying to put anyone down. I'm trying to speak, what I feel and what I think is true going on here. And I was going to get into discernment from a spiritual Christian standpoint, and what does this mean in discerning what the truth is spiritually about someone. And I've attempted to do that for such a long time, and it really got very little. It went nowhere, really. It was the same type of thing spiritually with what I tried to teach and warn about. As far as Gnosticism goes, Gnostic grace, if you're not familiar with all of that what I've gone through with that and trying to reveal that. So I think this whole situation very much reveals spiritual condition and the state of things and discernment and all of those issues spiritually. And this is not just a matter of some guy on a hill telling you the facts and just reporting leisurely as a inhabitant of some isle. It goes much further than that, I think, especially because of all the rift that it's created, the divide, especially with believers. So I very much keep my distance from everything and just try to discern and not jump headlong into anything or anyone or listen to anyone, and just, buy into anything or everything. I keep a safe perspective. And the bottom line is, what does someone believe the gospel is, the quote unquote, the gospel is? Are there works involved with their understanding, their so-called faith? And are others able to discern and to differentiate spiritually the heart, the truth of a matter that's going on, whether it's with someone else or those on YouTube claiming to teach and so forth and have dreams and visions? That means nothing to me, and it really doesn't after all this time and seeing everything that's going on here, because that's not the emphasis. Signs are not the emphasis, though I'm going to read a few here to encourage you about the rapture and what's going on with this volcano and the concerns about a tidal wave. So I want to end on a positive note, encouraging note. So the spiritual state within the church has always seemed very troubling to me, and I'm being kind, and I'm not even really saying what I could say beyond that. And I think this whole situation with this person really reveals that in different ways. Again, the spiritual aspect underlying all of this. So anyway, to conclude this and read what I want to, some dreams of others that they've had, is that I didn't think it was beneficial at this time to go into anything further with regard to Bushcraft Bear, and just leave it alone and state what I felt I should say here. But I think that the current concerns about him are very, very justified, despite, what it might seem outwardly, the impression, the appearance given, and the effects on others. Sort of spellbound, that's a word I could use. So I'm just going to leave it alone, leave it there. I'm really not concerned about, going into this or dealing with this. You know, if others are going to be upset by some things that I have said and read into it, or what have you, or don't accept it. So, all right, I'll read a few of these dreams again about related to what's going on with the Canary Islands and a possible tsunami and dreams others have had. This one says, last night I dreamed that I got married, and then I was suddenly in the sky looking down upon the earth. I saw a big building shaped like a giant wave, and water was rapidly rushing down it. Then the Lord, who is next to me, said, "It is now time for the wave to be released upon the earth." So that was one dream. Here's another one. I woke up from a dream yesterday afternoon that it blows, and everyone was in panic. 3 exclamation marks. What was meant by it blows? Well, of course, the volcano. In other words, total crazy blow-off eruption, catastrophic. So this person dreamed of that happening, and the panic that came after that. I don't know if they're a believer or not, but that's their dream. Next, and the last one is, I had a dream about big rocks hitting me whilst I was sitting on a log. I turned to see where the rocks were coming from. I saw a mountain. I heard in my sleep, in my spirit, the mountain's next. So the last I looked of the live stream, there was a lot of junk and debris and rocks and crud that the openings, the vents were trying to cough out and declutter, you know, itself of all that, just throwing it out. And I don't know what's happening now. A lot of clogging going on. You'll see that when there's caving in. That's a sign usually of that. Caving in more of the sides down, and then it has to eject it back up somehow, and it, you know, creates huge explosions because it's being plugged. So I don't know what's happening after that. Then usually you'll see like a Bunsen burner kind of effect, just, you know, gas. It looks like gas, a gas explosion or burn, and that probably is gas. I mean, obviously. What type, I don't know, because there's been reports that it could be propane, underground deposits that, you know, have been tapped into or intruded upon that are under there, even oil deposits. I don't know, but I've heard these things are also possible going on. That's not good. That's just, if that's true, then that's just feeding the flames more, feeding the explosions. And also it would seem to indicate that the ground is cracking and causing that, you know, penetration, that seepage seeping in. And also the white smoke, what I gather, indicates most likely water intrusion, you know, possibly way down beneath the island. And don't forget that the whole island is one big volcano. So when we talk about the volcano, the whole thing is a volcano, and only a certain percent is above the water. The bulk of it goes outward like a cone, that the bottom of it is has much wider radius, diameter, circumference. I'll get it right. So in other words, it's like a party hat, like a cone-shaped party hat. Instead of putting it on your head, imagine it. Well, no. What I mean is, if you took that hat and put 3/4 of it underwater, you'd still have an upper area of that cone. That would sort of represent La Palma. And then the rest of the island would represent the rest of that party hat that goes below the water. though it's more spread out. You know what I'm saying? It's not just up like this, it's more wide. And then, of course, the top has flat areas, and then the mountains, and then the peaks of the volcanoes. Earthquakes have been very deep. There's been two different levels indicating the quakes happening at different chambers. The top chamber, I guess about 15 kilometers, and then or so, 10, 15, and then the bottom one going into the mantle of the Earth at, let's say, 35 to 40 kilometers. So simultaneously that's going on. That indicates all the levels are shaking, and the deep earthquakes have been occurring along with the more shallow ones, and also at different levels, and also near the volcano and surrounding it and a lot farther away. So it's encompassing everywhere, affecting that volcano. As I said, there's like 30,000 or more earthquakes and tremors have happened in the past, let's say, month and a half there. That's hard, that's unbelievable, but I think that's the truth. That's the facts. They're worrying about the delta breaking off. That's a, mainstream kind of concern here, so they are accepting that as a possibility. And also, from what I gather, the threat of a tsunami from that, a local, more, I don't want to say small, but it could be serious, but localized occurrence from that, if that possibly occurs. And I believe that the warning of that has stayed in effect officially. If I'm wrong about that, I'm sorry, but I think that's what's happening here, that they are concerned, and that type of warning has stayed in effect to watch out for that possibility. Now, and then more and more land is quickly filling in from another lava flow path. I think right at this moment it probably hit the sea already and is on its way to forming another delta, so a secondary one, and lots of weight is accumulating off of there, and that's the problem of it being so heavy that it will just at some point make a clean break off. And again, that's not the concern that many are having about possible tsunami, a large one, affecting the Atlantic Ocean to the whole countries, including probably, from what I hear, portions of Europe, Africa, and then of course all the countries to the west. The United States, that's what the concern is here. That's why many people in this country and many Christians are on channels like Bushcraft Bear's channel and watching and thankful, for getting updates. But the truth is, if and when something like that happens, it's likely to be sudden, and then there's not much more that could be done. Though of course it's good to be warned, obviously. But I think if and when that happens, that's going to be known, mainstream, regardless. So, I mean, that can't be hidden. So that would be in the news almost immediately. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. Maybe not, but certainly what's going on with the information flow is suppression, and controlling the perception of what is actually happening, and especially what the possibilities are of major things happening, and calling that just hearsay, and making up stories and spreading fear and so on. If others can't see by now that those who are trying to explain what the possibilities are and how serious it is, if others are thinking and opposing that and thinking that that's something bad, then that's not good. So I'll end with a third warning from Bushcraft Bear in his comment. And he said, "Attention, 3 exclamation marks. IGN warns of possible intensity 6 earthquakes. The maximum has been 5 so far. And then in his words, I'll say it. Take care, my dear viewers. Goodbye.